Despite not being all that knowledgeable on the railways of Japan, I still find them interesting. And for today's review, we're looking at one of the Japanese routes brought to the game by Union Workshop. Here are my 2 cents on the Wakayama and Sakurai lines route, and I apologise in advance if I mispronounce the station names. This add-on was released in July 2016, which makes it around 8.5 years old at the time of uploading. It's still available on Steam as of early January 2025, with the full price being 48 New Zealand dollars. Personally, I think that's a little bit steep for what you get. According to the manual, the route is set in the early 2000s. The section that Union Workshop provided is a small portion of the wider suburban network in the Nara prefecture. It consists of 2 branches that converge at Takada Station, with one line running for 9.6 km east to Sakurai, and the other running for 23.9 km south to Gojo, with the total route length only being 33.5 km, or around 20.8 miles. Both lines are mostly single track, albeit with crossing loops at a few stations. One such station is Unebi. The route features 12 stations, and I reckon the strangest one is Kitauchi, the first stop north of Gojo. I say it's the strangest because of the double reversal move you have to perform in order to access or leave the station. In other words, drivers on northbound trains have to pull into a head shunt, change ends, proceed to the platform, change ends again, and head back out to the main line. It's the other way round for southbound trains. But according to the manual, the station was rebuilt in 2007, with the older platforms and reversing siding being abandoned as a result. As for rolling stock, the Wakayama and Sakurai lines route comes with 2 different electric multiple units, namely the 103 series and 105 series, which date back to 1963 and 1981 respectively. There are several variants of the 103 series, with the one modelled for TS Classic being an air-conditioned 4-car variant that's painted in a green livery. As for the track gauge on this route, it's 3 foot 6 inches, or 1067mm. The 105 series bears a strong resemblance to the 103 series, albeit with the addition of cab-end gangways. I'm not sure which specific variant this is meant to be, but regardless, it's nice to see a second unit included instead of only seeing the 103 series all the time. From memory, the 105 series was AI only when this add-on was first released, but she has since been updated to be drivable. In real life, these trains would be operated by JR West, but their branding does not appear in the game, presumably due to licensing restrictions. Despite being on 3 foot 6 inch gauge, these units have very spacious interiors. And speaking of the passenger experience, the 103 and 105 series EMUs feature working announcements, although these have to be set up in the scenario editor, and instructions on how to set them up are available in the manual. In any case, I can't understand what the man is saying in these announcements because I don't speak Japanese. The route comes with 7 career mode scenarios for the 103 series, and 2 bonus scenarios for the 105 series. A small number of community-made scenarios are also available on Steam Workshop, and at least one of them features the 105 series as the player train. I'm not sure if these units are suitable for the other electrified Japanese routes in TS, but regardless, I've used them for AI traffic at Tomakomai when I made scenarios on the Hidaka main line. Without the EMUs, That section through Tomakomai looks borderline deserted when you've only got the Kiha 130 railcars running about. Driving on the Wakayama and Sakurai lines can be challenging, especially when you have to adhere to the precise timetable, a famous aspect of Japanese railways. The maximum permitted speed anywhere on the route is only 80 km per hour, and the included EMUs make light work of the gradients, which get as steep as 1 in 24. It's also worth mentioning that there are stop markers on the platforms, which advise you on where to stop your train depending on its length. There's also a working automatic train stops system, although I don't really understand how it works. In any case, it takes around 11 minutes to complete the run from Takada to Sakurai, and between 25 and 40 minutes to go from Takada to Gojo, depending on your stopping pattern. It's generally a pleasant experience on this route, thanks to the decent sounds on the trains and other ambient audio, such as the realistic sounding bells at level crossings. Sometimes, you'll also see leaves blown about by the wind. In my experience, I've found the weirdest thing about this route to be the inconsistent performance, which contrasts with a lot of the assets being fairly basic, especially the trees. The frame rates can get particularly bad in the more built-up areas, or when you're looking straight ahead from the driver's cab view, and it doesn't help that the headlights are unrealistically bright. Speaking of which, you'll need to activate an extra key on the driver's desk before pressing the normal H key to switch the headlights on. At the end of the day, and despite the basic scenery, inconsistent frame rates, and somewhat limited route coverage, I still like the Wakayama and Sakurai lines add-on for Train Simulator. It would have been nice if the route coverage got extended to Oji or Wakayama, but at least the route we've got now still offers a reasonably challenging driving experience through scenic terrain, not to mention the unusual double reversal at Kitaoji. I give this route a 6.5 out of 10, and can easily recommend it to any TS Classic players looking for something out of the ordinary.